Hello, my name is Jacob Marlin. I'm co-founder and director of BFREE, stands for the Belize Foundation for Research and Environmental Education. BFREE is a 501c3 nonprofit organization registered in the United States in 1996. It is the culmination of a number of ideas. I should really probably put it as a dream that my wife and I had many, many years ago. Starting in about 1990 or so, when I was in college, where I met my wife, Kelly, we both became fascinated and concerned about the fate of our environment, particularly tropical rainforests. And so we started to read as much as we could, learn as much as we could about what was happening to them, and what could be done to try to help preserve these incredible, important ecosystems within our planet. Because, you know, rainforests inhabit about half of the world's species and biodiversity, but only encompass about 2% of the Earth's surface. So we started traveling to different parts of the world to go to rainforests and speak to people, learn about the issues and the threats and the opportunities that were there. And one of the places we came to was Belize. And we fell in love with the country very quickly, mostly because Belize has a tremendous amount of its forest still intact. About 70% of the country is still under some type of forest. It has a very expansive and comprehensive protected area system. About 40% or so of the terrestrial area of Belize is under some type of protection. And the government also is amiable and is interested in trying to conserve its natural resources. And then, of course, the people, which we fell in love with. What a diversity of people that live here. Some of the kindest, warmest, welcoming people I've ever met. So all of those combinations together really made us feel like Belize is a country that we could hopefully try to assist in some way. We thought there was a lot of opportunity for conservation here because back then it was so undeveloped, and still is. So instead of trying to get involved in maybe a restoration project in some countries to try to help restore rainforests, here was an opportunity to help save rainforests that were still in a healthy state. We continued to travel to Belize between actually 1986 and 93, when eventually we were part of an expedition that went into the Belize Nature Reserve, one of the protected areas here in the south, to assist a team of biologists, and our job was to conduct a reptile and amphibian survey for the protected area. So we went into the reserve. That was March 1993, and we're amazed at the health and biodiversity still in this pristine forest. And that was pretty much all it took, because after that expedition we met with some government officials and discussed the idea of possibly establishing a research and education facility back in the reserve, and also the need to establish a management program, because the Belize Nature Reserve was established in 1990, but it had no management program at all. In fact, there was nothing written about it. No one had ever heard of it. It was a paper park, basically a name on a map. So since the government said, yeah, this is an interesting idea, this is something we'd like to see happen, how much money do you have to bring to the table? Money? We were 23 years old. We didn't have any money. We thought maybe the government could come up with something. But what they did say was, if you can't do anything in the reserve because it's a strict category protected area. It's like the equivalent of IUCN's 1A category. No tourism is even allowed. It's strictly set aside for science and education, with its purpose being to have a representative example of a tropical forest in an undisturbed state. So we set out the task of trying to find a piece of land near the Belize Nature Reserve, if possible, to set up our idea. Eventually, we found this piece of property owned by a local Belizean who was willing to part with it. And so shortly after that March expedition, we sold everything we owned, bought an old 1971 Land Cruiser. We were living in Ohio at the time, working at zoos, and drove down here. And we were here by August of '93. I mean, we decided to give ourselves a year to find a piece of property, explore Belize, learn more about the country and the issues, and see if we could try to establish something in the area of the Belize Nature Reserve. Like I said, we found this piece of property from this Belizean landowner, and so by March of '95, actually March 5th, we moved on to this piece of property. There was no trails, no facilities, just tall jungle. The road was not really even a road. There's a 6-mile entrance road that leads to this property, which was virtually impassable by anything but maybe a huge tractor. We lived down by the Bladen River in a tent. My wife Kelly had just given birth to our oldest daughter Sophia, who was about 2 months old. So we moved onto the property with some old friends of mine from high school, a few other friends that were just willing to try to help us establish the place. And we lived down by the river for about a year in a tent, and very slowly but surely started to, we surveyed the area. We tried to pick out where the facilities could go, and my wife said to me, this is all good and dandy, but I think we need a roof. Particularly with our 2-month-old daughter, we really couldn't set her down because there was nowhere really to set her down but the forest floor. So our first building was building our house, which took much longer to build than we thought. But as the years have gone by, the facilities have developed further and further, and now we have about 12 buildings on site. We have a bunkhouse that sleeps about 24 people. We have a kitchen and dining room that seats about 45. We have 3 or 4 buildings for our staff. We have a manager's residence. We're building a laboratory. We have a 112-foot forest lookout tower. We have a 145-foot radio communications tower. We have about 7 or 8 solar systems. We have a solar-powered water pumping system. We collect rainwater, and we also have a well. We have a 2-acre organic garden and orchard, 13-acre organic shade-grown cacao orchard. We have satellite wireless internet, telephones, 2-meter radio, and I'm sure I've missed some things. So we have a library. So the facilities have just grown over the years. And I have to say that most of the work that's been done here, the vast majority of the energy that's gone into place has come from volunteers, interns, and of course our local staff. But in many ways, when you walk around BFREE and you see a different part of the facility, whether you see a solar panel rack or a clay oven or a small structure somewhere, it's oftentimes the result of the enthusiasm and ideas of our visitors. Objectives here at BFREE are probably threefold. Of course, as I said, when we originally came here, our real primary mission was to help the government of Belize conserve and manage the Belize Nature Reserve. And that's a task that started about a year after we got here, and we started meeting with them, and we were a founding member of an organization, sort of a multi-stakeholder organization consisting of the government of Belize, BFREE, and a handful of other non-governmental organizations. And we worked together tirelessly from '96 until this year, developing a management plan and eventually hiring rangers and putting in a ranger base and doing community outreach in the communities and advocating for the continued conservation of this area. And really, at this point, I would say that we succeeded. There's now a local NGO that's sort of taken over management. They have a good administration in place, strong advocacy program, dedicated staff, and so BFREE is now free to, after sort of having accomplished that primary mission, we're now free to move, not to move on, but to focus more energy on our environmental education programs, our scientific research programs, and our community development programs. Of the Bladen has been our primary objective, but our other major goals here are to provide unparalleled or environmental education programs. We provide those programs to both students from abroad, from high school, college. We've worked with homeschooled kids, all ages of students and different programs. I think we work with about 45 different universities, high schools from the United States. And they come down here to do field courses on tropical ecology or rainforest ecology or reef ecology, primate ecology, variety of art, a variety of different types of programs. We also work with Belizean students as well, and work with the University of Belize and other high schools and colleges in the country. Both our education programs happen here at BFREE, but we also take programs out into the communities to provide educational programs there.
Which is pretty interesting, I think. Why would that be? Well, it's just that they probably use their eyesight.
Another primary objective of BFREE is to provide and to facilitate scientific research. This is really a science and education facility primarily. And so we do that by working with masters, PhD, student PhD candidates, and undergraduates, and even high school seniors will come down and do research projects here. So the research programs here range from the study of harpy eagles and scarlet macaws and jaguars to land snails and slime molds and invertebrates. So there's a wide range of different types of biota that have been studied here over the last 15 years. So oftentimes we're providing the facilities and the infrastructure for visiting scientists, and then we also have our own ongoing science projects here as well. I think our staff and our board of directors and all the people involved in BFREE feel very strongly about helping to conserve one of the last great places on Earth. BFREE is 1,153 acres. It's a private protected area. It borders 4 other protected areas, joining them and acting as a buffer zone, including the Belize Nature Reserve, Coxcomb Basin Wildlife Sanctuary, which is the only jaguar reserve in the world, Maya Mountain Forest Reserve, and Deep River Forest Reserve. And those protected areas adjoin a larger block of protected areas called the Maya Mountains Massif, which is a little over 1.5 million acres of continuous tropical forest, one of the largest expanses of undisturbed forest left in Central America and really in the Western Hemisphere. We are trying to conserve this incredible area through integrating our science, education, and conservation programs as much as we can, and most importantly, provide opportunities for the true stakeholders of this incredible wilderness area, the local people, the people living in the communities, the Mayans, the Mestizo, the Creole. All of these people are the people that will have the largest stake in the future of these areas. And so we do everything we can to try to provide alternative livelihoods for them, to provide educational opportunities, training, education, as much as we can, so that because a place like BFREE may come and go, governments change, scientists come and visit and leave, student programs occur and then move on. But the people living in these communities stay. This is their backyard. So, in so many ways, what we're trying to do here is strongly integrated into the local communities as much as we possibly can, so that they take ownership of conserving this vast area into the future for their children and their children's children, and really for everyone. Well, we invite you to come and visit us here at BFREE. We love to have visitors that are interested in conservation of our tropical forests or conservation in general. If you are a high school teacher or a university professor, or if you're just an individual that's interested in conserving and helping in some way, if you're interested in bringing students down or groups of teachers, or your family, or you are interested in having a workshop conducted in bird ecology or in snails or in snakes or in primates, This is a terrific place to do it, and so we invite you to contact us. You can reach us by email at BFREE, B-F-R-E-E, at Hughes, Hughes.net, or that's my email address. You can contact our Director of Educational Programs, Judy Dourson, at jdorson, D-O-U-R-S-O-N, at earthlink.net. Or, more simply, you could just check out our website at bfreebz.org, BFREEBZ.org. Thank you very much, and we hope you will enjoy this video.